would like to know if you can help me understand how we can do this shielding effect without any reactors, just with our soul.
Extend the dimension of your soul beyond the physical boundary of your body, which is very easy. So you will not hear what is outside, because the physicality of the man is within the structure of the fields of the soul. When we are inside the planet Earth, we don't hear what's happening in the solar system, the noises of the solar system. When we are traveling in the dimension of the solar system, we don't hear the noise of what is outside the solar system, because the fields exist, and if you can tune into the field beyond the physical body of the man, which allows the expansion of the soul, you won't hear what the physicality hears. Then you hear the noise of your soul, the voice of your soul. This is partially what happens in some of the time when you go to sleep and you dream. The extension of the soul of the man passes the dimension of physicality. Dreaming is in two ways, and understanding the work of the soul of the man is the same. Many of you will come to understand this in a different way. If this is your physicality and this is the soul of the man, you, through the strengths and dimensions, you can transmute and communicate with the soul, whatever it is. But on the other hand, you can do the same thing but extend in a given structure the soul to cover the physicality. Using this method, you can repair the physicality. Using this method of the direction in mono, what they call magnetic fields, you can communicate with another soul. And in interaction between the soul and the physicality, the brain of the man is the converter of some of the information that you will see as a dream. This we have to understand. And this is where now you extend the dimension of the soul and dimension of physicality, and whatever happens beyond this environment is blocked, unless you want to feel it through the strength of the soul of the man. Always remember, in many teachings I have repeated, and you have to grasp the totality, is that the soul of the man, if I position it here, and the physicality of the man is created due to the gravitational field forces of the earth, which has absorbed the amino acid of its environment to lead to the creation of the body of the man. And the reason we split in two is the dynamic magnetic field structure of the copper, which is the essential creator of our muscle tissue. And then in the interaction, the field forces of the liquid dynamic of the planet with a combination of the iron and oxygen, we have one, the metal state of the blood, and two, the magnetic, which is the liquidity of the blood. So we have two magnetic fields, one of the matter state and one of the liquid, together creating what we call the circulation in the blood of the man. We understand this process fully. And then in this process, with the interaction with the field forces which they create along and within the field forces of the gravitational field of the earth, create the engagement of the soul of the man. We understand this process fully now. This is the reason why you have iron and oxygen within the blood. One is gravitational magnetic field of the earth, matter state, field strength in the center, and the other one is gravitational magnetic field of the liquid and the gaseous condition of the planet. The mixture of the two creates the condition of the flow of the blood. The structure of the blood, that's why we have iron and oxygen both connected to each other within our blood. If you look at the redness of the color of the blood, and CH3 and H3 that you create and CO2 that you create in your cups, you should have understood why we get red. Now we understand the process of creation. When you go to another dimension and position, the soul is still the same. But in that position, in that place, maybe cobalt is the gravitational magnetic field strength of the planet. And it could be a hydrogen to be the magnetic gravitational field strength of the other composition of the fields. And you have a cobalt and a hydrogen as, what would your color be? If we change the iron into potassium, what color would be our blood? Is it reason, is this the reason why, or we change it to magnesium, this is why we will be another color and another shape in the universe. What happened if we change slightly the magnetic gravitational field of the earth from iron to another component strength? What color our blood will be in interaction of the gaseous condition of the planet? Would our blood still be red, or would it be green or blue or the other colors? This needs to be I thought it's fully understood by now by the knowledge seekers. If I keep the same iron and the same oxygen, but I change the gravitational magnetic field of the environment of it, would your blood still be red? I doubt it. Why does your skin go bruised when you apply different pressure which changes the gravitational magnetic field of the layer of the skin? Why do you go black and blue? It's the same blood, it's the same cell. You change the pressure composition of the ganses on it in the layers. Partially because the blood in that point with that pressure will manifest itself as black or blue, not red anymore. You've seen it in your cups, how, as I was explaining, when you move your ganses, they change from red to black and the rest. Mix the one converts from the black to red or copper color together, you get the color of the bruise on your skin. It's very simple. The process, that's why I said after March, we bring in the Keshe Foundation scientists who understood it in fundamental way, and the world scientists. We will explain the origin of creation. Read book number 1 and book number 3. The origin of creation of matter and the universe. Book number 8 is the origin of creation, magnetic fields. And book number 9 is the origin of the soul of the man. I have taught the technology in a beautiful way, if you appreciate this, the way it's set out and the way he has explained. In book number 3, we do the macro, which is the universe. In book number 4 is planet, which is micro. And in book number 5, we explain the system and the process. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. We've got a couple of questions on YouTube here.
You had a question about inertia in your teachings.
Yes, maybe that's a good time for that.
Yeah.
It came up in the Kesh Plasma Reactor group, and the question of what is inertia? How do we define inertia? What is in relation to the plasma technology? And we read about inertia in the dictionary, about a state of rest or a state of linear motion can still be inertia. But something about spinning things changes inertia. That's one aspect that came up. And also we looked into the definition in your book, the universal order of creation of matters, and it had its definitions. So I was wondering if you could help us define that better and get a greater understanding of what is inertia.
We have central field forces of the whole planet, the way it has structured itself and is made itself out of. We call the soul of the planet, which is in the center like the soul of the man. Then we have what we call the soul of physicality, which is made of the field forces of the body of the man in its composition of the field forces of individual cell, individual field for the plasma or individual organ. That is what we call inertia. Inertia is the interaction of the field forces of the environment in respect to the planet's central gravitational field forces, where in the balance of the two field forces of the matter state of the environment and the gravitational field for the environment and the gravitational field forces of the planet manifests itself as a matters in that position of the entity of the physicality. The interaction of the field forces of the soul of the man with the field forces of the soul of physicality, which what we call the inertia, leads to manifestation of the kidney, but in a plasmatic dynamic field force, not in the matter state. But the same composition in the sphere inside or outside leads to creation of the bone of the spine or the hip. Inertia is interaction of the field forces of the matter state's field strength, and it is created by the composition of the interaction of the field forces of the central core and the environment itself. One leads to the creation of the other, and the interaction of field forces of the environment leads to the creation of the matter of that field force. If I create gravitational magnetic field of gold in 200 meters below Earth surface, in that position, in interaction with the field forces of the center of Earth and the environment which have created that condition, leads to creation of matter state of gold. Most of the reserves inside the Earth are created this way. They're not embedded. You can find, if you change some field forces in one section of the earth where, for example, there is gold, we can, with the change of the field forces, we can change it to silver. Very easy. This is how we controlled most of the Fukushima disaster for the Japanese government. We change, or we use the environmental field forces with the present field forces within the structure to manipulate the dynamic field flow and lead to creation of another matter or another field force plasma condition of the matter. Inertia is what has been created in the matter state, but the soul of it is like body of the man has a physicality and has a soul of physicality. But at the same time, each cell has a soul. So in that environment, in that area, the soul of physicality we call inertia. Location by location. If you have a same gravitational magnetic field as inertia, but 200 kilometers inside the earth, you get the different material that the same inertia in 50 meter in the structure of the phase. That's why we have composite materials, mixture of copper and zinc and different kind of copper. Depends in which level the matter state and the field strength has been interacted and created. So inertia is the soul of the matter state in a given area, where its interaction with the field forces of the earth leads to creation of that matter state in that place. That's why we absorb only gold in one places from this and deserts we absorb sand. And it runs and it has no, it goes to the point of the solid matter state of it. And what's on top is what the inertia has dictated to be. Or separation from point of magma, if you understand in a different way.
So that would apply to the upper atmosphere as well, where the rays come in and get transmuted into elements and so on.
Yes, of course.
And
that's why we have life above us. We are bottom eaters, as I said by the time partner.
So those particles that are created from that process, is that the inertia? Is the particle that comes from the light in a way?
It comes from interaction of fields.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from interaction. That's why when you create matter states, you need 3 field forces, not 1 or 2.
So is inertia a characteristic or quality of the matter, or is it more description of the interaction that occurs?
A mixture of both. It leads to the creation of matter. Then that matter which is converted itself have a field strength that becomes the soul of that matter, or we call it the inertia. And if the field force of inertia in respect to the surface changes, we see creation of different layers of materials on the surface. As we go further away, the surface layer changes, because now the field strength cannot support copper, now it supports aluminium, for example. So the inertia of the aluminium takes over in that position.
Mr. Kesh, earlier you mentioned how copper produces the split in the body, or the sort of the duality, the two-ness of everything that we have, the 2 parts of the lungs, 2 parts of the brain, 2 arms, and so on. Could you explain a little bit about that? I wasn't clear on
it is done in one of the teachings. I went in depth about it in one of the teachings. I think it's somewhere around 200. How the is the characteristics of the copper gravitational magnetic field forces. Copper has a specific structure in the splitting of its field forces in magnetic gravitational field of the Earth. And that split creates the split of the physical body. If we had another composition, we most probably be monophysical. Most of the universe has that capability of the manifestation.
Okay, we had a question from Ezra in the YouTube. What is the significance of the asteroid which will come close to Earth on the 21st of March, 2021? A, quote, potentially hazardous asteroid, unquote, is all set to zoom past Earth on March 21st, 2021. The asteroid named 2001 FO32.
I know, I heard about it from you, Rick, this morning. I have no knowledge. Maybe it's the doomsday. I don't know. But
Well, it's odd that it would be it's the largest object to come close to the Earth this year, and it's within around 1,000,000 or 1,000,000.2 or 3 miles away at that time. And this is on the date that you chose as this significant date. So I'm wondering, is this kind of like a visitation from some local friends, or someone's coming by to watch the ceremonies? Or it seems kind of strange that this object will be coming by at that time, that's all.
Many things will happen 21st, around 21st. And as I said, this asteroid could have passed the Earth many times. The interesting is, for example, the amount of gases we produce on the surface, would it create a different position and a field strength that will affect the motion of it? We will not know. And maybe if we get hit and say it's all to do with the Keshe Foundation, they change the gravity of the Earth with all these gases and the rest of it.
Well, that would make you rather notorious. That would be for sure.
Or maybe our change of gravitational magnetic fields will bring the asteroid to move further out. We don't know, and then nobody will know. Do we know? But we know essentially the asteroids, after a while of circulating around the solar system, they get absorbed and attracted by different planetary systems according to their strength and gravity and inertia. Asteroids mainly carry inertia. They don't have any gravitational with them. And meteorites do have, because they still could carry a liquid center which creates its own magnetic field, gravitational field.
Well, there is a movie that's come out just recently, apparently, about a guy heading to Greenland to hide under the ice in an underground network in order to avoid an asteroid coming. And it turns out the main asteroid, they predict, oh, it's no problem, it's going to miss Earth. But what happened was they couldn't see behind the asteroid that there's a whole series of smaller ones, each one of which can totally destroy the Earth, that was coming in behind it. So hopefully that movie won't come true, but it's something to think about, that not the scientists don't always have things figured out. But we'll just have to wait and see. Like you say, there'll be many changes shown at that time, and we're fortunate as humans to be able to witness these many changes that are going on our planet, and I see them as beneficial in all ways. Sometimes when things get mixed up, it looks kind of crazy for a while and chaotic, but all in all, it's all for the benefit of all beings everywhere, I think. And whatever happens, we're gonna come through it with shining colors one way or another.
If we are here after 21st, we know our Maghreb didn't do that good.
Okay.
Any other question?
Let me see here. Just trying to see what's appropriate. A question from Liliana Lopez in the Q&A. Thanks, Mr. Kesh, for all the teachings. My question is, how is time defined in plasma science?
In plasma science, we said the time is from the time you start, and you point at 0 or a point of reference. Time in reality does not exist in the world of creation the way we calculate it, because 1 day of you is 1 second of another in the galaxy, and 1 millionth of the second for somebody in the center of the universe. So time is position dependent and on the point of the observer. Are we observing our life, or are we observing the position, the life of the planet in its own structure? Time only exists from the point of the observer in what he or she wants to observe. It's a point of energy transfer from one to another.
So that might lead to the next question, is kind of who are we, in a way, from Christian, who says, when I get more in touch with my soul, when I strengthen the soul, where am I myself to my soul and to the soul of physicality? When I say I or me, do I include the two souls? Am I in a certain way beyond them? Is this what you mean when you say I am the creator?
There is something, yeah.
Or can I say I am the free plasma between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality?
That's a big question. That's a big question. But whether the man is ready, or is the man ready to hear it? Sorry about this. You hear a noise in the background?
That's the biggest question, I think, of all. So that's the challenge here.
Yeah, if you hear a noise in the background, please excuse.
We don't hear anything now. It's
because it's very strange when we are in 2 different locations. We always get the helicopter runs. Doesn't matter. The strange enough, it's always from on top of us. In the 2 different locations, totally kilometers apart. It's very strange when it's always there when we are there. Can you repeat the question again, please?
Yes, from Christian. When I get more in touch with my soul, when I strengthen the soul, where am I myself to my soul and to the soul of physicality? When I say I or me, do I include the two souls? Am I in a certain way beyond them? Is this what you mean when you say, I am the creator? Or can I say, I am the free plasma between the soul of the man and the soul of physicality?
It depends where you sit as I. from point of observer to see physically, then you're still in the matter of state of physicality. Or are you part of the soul, which you see the dimension of the fields of the physicality as emotion? What do you want to expect to see and how do you emotionally feel it? Or do you sit within the soul of the man itself to be observer to the soul of physicality in a physical state of matter?
Okay, thank you for that.
It's an observation point of view where you want to sit and observe that point.